and welcome. This is Crafter QQ, that is me, and this is the February roundup, all the stuff I made in February, and also just happens to be Work in Progress Wednesday. So my goal for February was to finish the Robinia sweater, because there was, it's a sweater by Ann Wetzel, and there was a knit along for January and February, and I was like, I'm gonna do the knit along. It'll be great. I already started before the knit alongs technically started, I think. I didn't finish it, but I got farther than I thought I would. So last week I wasn't even done with the body, but now the body is complete. I just need to do the sleeves. So the problem is I couldn't decide if I wanted to knit the sleeves 2 at a time, or if I wanted to knit them 1 at a time and risk not doing the second sleeve or having my sleeves be different lengths. Because even though I try to keep track, somehow things happen. And so that's where I got stuck. But, you know, working on it actually went pretty fast once I actually started to work on it. And yeah, so the reason why I didn't finish, I think, is because I got distracted by other projects. So as you can probably tell, I have like 5 million works in progress at a time, which I think works for me, because if I have only one project working and I don't want to work on it, then I just don't do anything. And then that's how I got out of knitting in the past. Like, I would have a working project and I'm like, oh, I don't want to work on that. I'd rather knit something else, but I should really finish this one work in progress. And then I would just not knit for months or years. And so I'm kind of letting myself have as many works in progress as I want right now. And so I have a lot. So what distracted me from finishing that? Several things. One is a finished object I can share. This is a tank top called Sara by Sara Nordland. And I'm realizing now that it kind of, I should really have a button here, but maybe it'll be like a, hey, cleavage, kind of a tank top. I mean, it is crop, so. So she, in her pattern, knits it with like a natural color, and I had all this like hand-painted cotton yarn. It's like a little, it's pretty croppy, but you can wear it reversibly. And then I have some wooden buttons on it that are, I have a ton of wooden buttons. I bought like a pack. So, this project, so you knit it back and forth because of buttons. And then I'd gotten to the part where you start decreasing, and then on one of the panels, I somehow reversed the pattern, and so I had to pull back the whole thing. But you know, I frog a lot of things, so it wasn't too bad. I feel like I'm always frogging, that I feel pretty, I guess, unbothered by frogging. Like, sometimes it makes me sad, and most of the time I'm like, ugh, again. One time I did frog almost an entire blanket because I was knitting it. It was like the Mosaic blanket by Pearl Soho, and I was knitting it in worsted weight yarn, and I had probably like a foot of it done. And then I was like, you know what? I think I want to hold this yarn double. So I ripped the whole thing out. I did during an education day, so a bunch of people like saw me ripping it out, and they were like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't like it. I'm gonna redo it. So I had to rip a bunch of this out, but not the pattern's fault. I just was not paying attention because I was watching playthroughs of Harry Potter Legacy while I was knitting. So yeah, this is done. I'm excited for when summer comes. I do live in California, so it might be soon, but you know, we've been having weird weather. It hailed. I got a picture of it before it melted. I think the last time it like hailed or snowed up here was like when I was in 4th grade, which was many years ago. So that is one finished object. The other finished object, I'm surprised I have so many finished objects. The other finished objects that I got distracted with is this. It is the Start Bright cardigan. It is a free pattern by, I should mention, the Sara tank top, also a free pattern. So this Start Bright cardigan is a free pattern by Yarnspirations. I knit it in Caron Simply Soft. So I have a lot of acrylic yarn. I was at one point working on a Game of Thrones blanket that had the house sigils. And so I finished the Stark one. It was like gray and black with the wolf. I got partway through the Targaryen, nope, not Targaryen, Lannister one with the lion, but then I think lost some steam at the end, / got confused where I was in the chart, and then tried to rip it out, but because of all the floats I had, it was like a twisted mess, and so I ended up tossing it, I think, when I moved. And then similar thing with the Targaryen one. I lost track of where I was and then kind of just like tossed it. I was doing the buttons and I did them on like totally messed up. So I have a bunch of leftover acrylic yarn from that. And so I thought that the yellow would look nice because it would look like little sun rays kind of around the neckline. Goes up front and back. I made this in, I followed the pattern for a 6-month size, but I didn't swatch it. And I've noticed this when I knit with the Caron Simply Soft. When I knit it, it knits like a lot looser than what the patterns say. So this will probably fit her like, I don't know, as a 1-2-year-old. And then the buttons I had a lot of these. I bought an assorted thing of buttons. I had like 300 buttons, so I just picked some out of there. So some of the buttons are square, some of them are circle. They don't really match, but they're rainbow and they're cute. This is one of my other finished objects. And another project that distracted me from finishing my Robinia sweater. So she has right now this cute little blanket that we use when she's in her car seat, either if she's napping in it or in the car, since you don't want to put like a big winter coat on them under the seatbelt. So we just strap her in without any kind of wintry clothes on, like just her onesie or her outfit, and then put the blanket on over so she doesn't get cold. And so I have a cute blanket over her that one of my friends bought me. It has pandas on it. It's super soft and fluffy. One of the times when she was in her car seat at home, I don't think she was actually in the car seat. The blanket was like on the sofa. I wasn't paying attention. I thought my dog was very cutely laying in it. Turns out he was also chewing it. So there's like some holes in it. And it needs to be washed because it got peanut butter on it. So I'm afraid that's gonna disintegrate in the wash. So I was like, no big problem. I can make her a new blanket. And so I've been making her a new blanket. This is a pattern, also free. It's called like Mosaic Hearts, I think. Also by Yarnspirations. And this, so the pattern is written for a worsted weight yarn. I am using a super bulky yarn. So I did a lot of math finagling to figure out how to get the right size. I did not gauge swatch, but I think with bulky yarns, my gauge tends to be whatever's written. And it's a blanket, so it doesn't really matter as much. And so I did all the math. I was like, okay, so based on this size, if this is my gauge, do the math, this is how many stitches I need. And then I was like, oh, but I only have 80% of the yarn that would be needed to make it. And so then I was like, okay, I'll do 80% of the pattern essentially. And then I did the first 5 rows here, which is just garter. I didn't read the pattern before I started. Realized that there's an increase row before you get into the mosaic heart part. So I ripped it out, accounted for the increase row, redid the math, got to the increase row, realized that I did the math wrong, and I think I was like 3 stitches short. By this time, it was like middle of the night, like midnight, and so then I was like, okay, I just need to cast on 4 more stitches. Or I think I thought 3, but then it would have been like 62 plus 3, which is 65, but then I somehow thought it was 63 plus 3, so then I did 66, and so then I redid it, and then I had an extra one. I was like, you know what, I'll just knit 2 together somewhere. So I did that, and then I did 1 full repeat of the pattern, so this part, and then since then I've tried not to use the pattern and just read the knitting that already exists to kind of practice my reading my knitting skills. And it's working up super fast. The yarn I'm using is, this one is Knit Picks Mighty Stitch in black. I bought this yarn for a different project I was gonna make for her Zodiac's blanket. I was gonna knit the back part, but then it would have been like super thick, so I ended up using just a piece of fleece, which I still have to sew and attach. Will happen. I did start on it, and then so I have a bunch of that yarn, and then this pink is Baby Llama held double, which I have a bunch of. Yeah, and then the technique for this is called mosaic knitting, which I like. So this is the front, and then the back just looks, you know, a little crazy. And so as you're knitting, you only hold one color at a time, and then you either knit the stitch or you slip it. And so for example, like right now, I'm working on this pink row. So these are all knit pink ones, and then I slip one, and then that's gonna be black. So it's like, I feel like easier color work. So yeah, that's also distracted me from my Robinia sweater. But I will finish it once I figure out what I'm gonna do with the sleeves, if I'm gonna do 2 at a time or do 1 at a time. But that's not all. I of course have even more works in progress. One of my longer works in progress is this sweater, this Anker sweater I'm making for my husband, unless he doesn't like it, in which case it's for me. It is this part, the yoke, I went through super fast. It was so much fun. The body, I feel like I've been knitting for 5 million years because it's just stockinette. And this has kind of become what I knit when I'm in the car because it's easy and I don't have to think about it. Although what usually happens is I knit a couple stitches and then I fall asleep. So, you know, slow going. But, you know, it'll get done eventually, hopefully. My Woolen Honey, which I started, I haven't added anything. It's the same. Sometimes I just look at it. I've kind of forgotten about it actually. Okay, so what I have been working on is my Arctic Light sweater. It is a pattern by Kika. She has knit along going from February to March, and this is how much I have. It's not a ton. It has this, the ribbing is a twisted rib, so it looks very defined, and then it has this beautiful cable pattern. And this is the pattern that I showed to my mom, and I was like, hey mom, I want to knit this pattern, but I want to kind of like wait until I'm better at knitting. And my mom looked at the pattern, she's like, oh, that's easy, it's just a cable. And I was like, she's crazy. My mom, who doesn't know how to read a knitting pattern but can just look at a sweater and make it. So yeah, so I'd gotten to row 26 in this pattern and then realized that I had added a stitch but only on one side of the repeat, and yeah, it was not good. So I had to rip back all the way to the ribbing and start over. But on the second go around, I think my stitches are a lot neater, so that's good. And I'm knitting this with Cloudborn Alpaca, I think. This Cloudborn Baby Alpaca Fingering. I'm knitting it held double, and then also with the strand of Rowan cashmere haze. So it's super nice, and I love it. And I feel like now that I'm on the second go around of doing the cables, it makes so much more sense, and it's just like I'm knitting. It's not like I'm trying to decipher and figure things out every single time. And so those are my works in progress, but I did want to share some new things that I've gotten. So in my notions bag, I bought I bought these on Amazon. They were super cheap. Comes in a little case, but they are stitch markers. So they're the light bulb. I'm trying to like see it without it focusing on my face. They're the light bulb stitch markers. I think you get like 300. It was less than $20, maybe like $15. And so they're removable stitch markers. Oh, hold on, I gotta hold. I think I did that. The hand thing. Please focus on the stitch marker. There we go. So essentially come on now. The struggle is real. There we go. Nope. Keeps within. Okay, there we go. Essentially, it's a safety pin. It's shaped like a light bulb. And so you can remove them. And it came in all these beautiful colors. So I think this is gonna replace like all the other stitch markers I use, because right now I use like what I've collected. So I think I'm gonna switch over to mainly these, and then these, and then my row counter stitch markers. So these are stitch markers that have a row counter on them. Gotta do the there we go. Can you see? Yeah, the struggle. Essentially, it's a stitch marker that has a row counter on it, because if I have a row counter separate, I don't use it. But if I have to pass this every time, then I'll remember to count my row. I also got those on Amazon. It was like 4 for, I don't know, $6 or something. And also my husband bought for my birthday, which technically isn't until March. But he was like, do you want your present now, or you want to save for your birthday? I was like, no, I want it now. It is this beautiful yarn winder. Listen to it. Can't even hear it. It's so beautiful. I love it. It is by Fiber Artist Supply Company. It's wood. What kind? I don't know. But it's so quiet. So before I had my handy dandy trusty Knit Picks one, which I like, but listen to it. So annoying. And I wind yarn a lot on my computer desk, which is in the same office as his computer. And so you would just hear this in the back all the time. Yeah, and so this is so much better. It's so silent. And it can also wind like way bigger balls of yarn than the Knit Picks. I feel like the maximum size I can get on the Knit Picks is like probably, this is like the most comfortable size. But on this yarn winder, I can wind like big old balls like this. So yeah, I've been playing with that, winding all my yarn that I bought because it was on sale. And yeah, I think that's it for this one. New yarn winder, new stitch markers. What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 works in progress. That's not that bad. For me, that's not that bad. Oh, I also have another new purchase. I bought these because they were on sale. I think like 50% off. They're the Takumi bamboo interchangeable needles. So I own this set already. I bought that, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I'm keeping my needles in this thing. And so they're organized by size. My crochet hooks and my needles. But I bought this because I was like, oh, I should probably get a new set because the old ones, the tips are getting, the tips are pretty dull. Also, my dog was very small. He chewed on some of them, and recently I got a splinter from my knitting needles. And I do also have a set of Knitter's Pride like carbon steel ones, but then I realized, because I sometimes push the needle with my fingertips, that way more painful when it's carbon steel instead of bamboo. And also I drop stitches so much because it's too smooth. I'm not used to it. But the design of these, I think, has improved since I last bought them. Or maybe, maybe my set was too old and I didn't notice. But now when you put the cable and the needle together, there's like a little tiny rubber piece in between, kind of like a washer, but rubber. And then so when you screw it, you can screw it like kind of tight, and then it doesn't, because my old set, it unscrews kind of easily and it gets stuck. But I feel like with that rubber piece, they stay really well, and the tips are so much sharper than my old ones. If I can show the difference. So look at this new set. Look at my old one. This old one actually isn't even that bad. But I have some where it's horrendous. So yeah, I also have this. I think this was, I want to say $80 for this set. So the set it starts at a 3.25 millimeter, which is the same thing as a US 3, and it goes all the way up to a 15. The 15's not in here, there's another one. 15, which is a, I think, 10 millimeter needle. And then you get 5 different cables. You get a 16-inch or 41 centimeter, a 24-inch or 61 centimeter, a 29-inch or 74 centimeter, a 36-inch or 91 centimeter, and a 48-inch, 120 centimeters. So yeah, I really like this new set. I kind of want to buy another one mainly because I have so many works in progress, and currently I think all my works in progress, you need a size 8 needle for some reason. And so I need the needles too, so I can have many things on my needles, and then I'll have to like switch the tips every time I want to knit something different. But yeah, that is all I have for this week. So my plans are, 1, to finish that lap blanket, priority number 1. Priority number 2 would probably to be finishing the Robinia sweater, and then 3 would be the Arctic Light, and then the Anker sweater whenever I kind of get around to it. And then I do have more yarn coming. Lovecrafts had a clearance sale, and so I bought a bunch of Rowan Island Fine fingering yarn. So I have some really intricate color work patterns that I want to knit with that yarn. So I still feel quite nervous about knitting multiple fingering weight sweaters, since my wool and honey is just, chilling. But I can do it. My plan is that I will have like 1 fingering weight yarn sweater being worked at a time, and then as like a alternative, I can knit like other bulky things, and then that way, 1, my hands won't get that tired, and then I can also feel like I'm finishing things. Yeah, so those are the plans. I'll show you that yarn when it comes and what I plan to make with that. I'm pretty excited about that. I think in the last video I did talk about how I was gonna make some like instructional videos about knitting, and that obviously has not happened. I don't know if I will, mainly because it's annoying to film knitting, I guess, until I figure out a better way to do it. And also because I'm not a fan of editing videos. Yeah. Anyways, those are my plans for now. I don't think I have any other crafting plans. Oh, I never did figure out a way for me to label my stethoscope. I may just buy one of those metal things on Etsy, because I feel like that would be the easiest to clean. And simplest, because I feel like if I make a sticker out of vinyl, it's gonna rub off after all the alcohol cleaning. So I'd rather just have something metal there that I can also just wipe down. Oh, I do have a little project I'm thinking about. So my husband is really into watches, and I've gotten more into it. But I was thinking, and I've run this idea by him. He says he would wear something like that. But I was thinking of making him like a watch strap for his watch, one of his watches, like with friendship bracelet style, like embroidery thread. And so I'm trying to think of what a good, because it's really easy to do, I think, color work on that with like knots and stuff. So thinking of like a good pattern to make that, you know, is more modern and cool and less like, I made this friendship bracelet at camp, which is where I learned to make them. But yeah, just kind of try to elevate it. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas or anywhere, think of anywhere I can find ideas for that besides Pinterest, let me know. If you want more videos like this, subscribe, like, comment, etc. All right, I think that's it. Okay, bye.